Chapter 612, In Hand. The two street lamps on either side of the stone bridge silently illuminated the street, but they were unable to disperse the darkness beneath. Only the crimson moonlight from high above could barely illuminate the brown soil. Hidden under the bridge, Fate Counselor Rixardo remained silent for quite a while, making Klein suspect whether he had already passed away due to his heavy injuries. He guessed that a large reason as to why the luck augmentation had failed was because of this. Just as Klein was about to ask a probing question to determine the situation, Rixardo coughed and said in a deep, hoarse voice, "You live up to the reputation of being a powerful adventurer capable of temporarily sealing the die. What happened has exceeded my expectations. I'm very curious as to why my luck augmentation on you had failed. I'm very regretful that I can't come out and meet you in person. Otherwise, I should be able to see what Beyonders from other pathways will find difficult to see, even if they possess relatively powerful spirit visions. This is the uniqueness that the Fate pathway holds. So the problem lies with me? That's not the point. The point is that you need to reimburse me £700, no, £730. Klein cursed as he couldn't help but recall the orphan, a Demisol, who had the nickname of Monster in Tingen City. The young man, who was equal to half a sequence 9, had cried out after seeing Klein before falling to the ground. His eyes bled, and the fear he exhibited was as if he had seen a devil. This is because of the uniqueness of the Wheel of Fortune's path of the divine, so he saw something wrong with me. He saw something related to the gray fog. Unfortunately, this Fate Counselor is quite heavily injured and has a domain of bad luck around him. There's no way for him to help inspect me. I should ask Snake of Fate Will Ossipton when I'm back. Perhaps he might know something. However, this pathway does have the bearing of a charlatan. He might not directly answer me, and has a high chance of answering in vague terms." Klein maintained his expressionless attitude and said, "Then, what do you plan on doing?" Rixardo sighed and said, "Get Darkwill here. I'll augment him with good luck and get him to win the money at the casinos on your behalf." Using the name of the inn counselor Rixardo gave, Klein quickly found the chubby apothecary, Darkwill. Then, while carrying the suitcase and cane, Klein watched as he kept winning money at the major casinos. By midnight, he had already won £750. After receiving the remaining £730, Klein realized a problem. The reason for the luck augmentation's failure was because of him. Why is that so? Klein held close his bulging wallet and frowned as he thought silently to himself. He quickly thought of the thin, invisible grayish-white fog around him and realized the reason. After advancing to Faceless, the gray fog has integrated with reality to a certain extent. Not only can it help me screen off ravings that aren't too powerful, but it can also destroy any influence that changes my fate to a certain extent. Therefore, this counselor's luck augmentation was ineffective. According to this logic, bad luck to a certain extent shouldn't affect me either. What the heck? It doesn't make me become some unlucky fool, but it also destroys my chance of being a lucky man or winner. Klein secretly shook his head and followed Darkwill and the owl back to the stone bridge. He informed Rixardo of how to summon his messenger, and to immediately send him news once he obtained any information on a mystical item with powerful offensive traits. After doing all of this, Klein found an inn at the Oravi Island's port city and got a simple room for himself. Backland in the morning. Emlyn White walked under his favorite gloomy skies, moving through the thick fog that couldn't be compared to those in November or December, as he once again arrived outside Northborough's 7 Pinster Street. After pulling the doorbell, he straightened his back as he lifted his chin and waited patiently. When Leonard opened the door, he looked at the handsome but detestable face before making way and allowing the visitor to enter. He was still dressed in his home wear, comprising of a white shirt and black trousers. However, he had an additional dark-colored vest draped over him. "Have you considered the matter?" Leonard asked with a smile. "No problem." Since it wasn't his money, Emlyn had no intention to haggle. He even believed that with the attitude displayed by Leonard, there was a high chance of having the price raised if he tried. Leonard gently nodded and smiled. "Very rich." I can tell that you're trying to lead me to say more. Emlyn silently scoffed and replied, "That's not something you need to concern yourself with." With that said, he raised the suitcase in his hand and opened it, revealing £7,000 in cash. Leonard took out each stack of cash and thoroughly checked it carefully. Then, he pulled off the red glove he wore on his left hand and handed it to Emlyn. "This is the mystical item you require. It can change colors to disguise itself. It's called Tinder. It can raise the wearer's charm, making his words be equipped with great persuasiveness. It can steal the beyonder power of a target within 50 meters. The more you understand the target, the easier it is to steal the power you wish to steal. The less you know, the more random it becomes, and it relies on luck. When the target is at sequence 6, there is a chance of failure. The higher the sequence, the higher the chance of failure. After the theft succeeds, the target will lose that beyonder power, and it will take at least 12 hours to recover. The owner of Tinder will be able to use it adeptly for 10 minutes. And the reason why it's expensive is because it has very few negative side effects." Emlyn, who silently took in the introduction, had his interest piqued by a mystical item like Tinder. He asked, "What are its negative side effects?" Leonard combed his hair and smiled. "First, when wearing it, there is a small probability of losing something on you. Second, when using it, a particular beyonder power belonging to you will be lost for at least 12 hours, but during this period, it will be the only beyonder power lost. In other words, even if it's used repeatedly, there will only be one power lost the entire time. Compared to the many sealed artifacts I know of, its negative side effects are indeed trivial." Emlyn cleared his throat as he nodded. He received Tinder and checked it carefully before taking out the stacks of cash from the suitcase and placing them on the coffee table. Following that, he placed the glove into the suitcase and didn't take it with him directly. With the suitcase, Emlyn returned to the Harvest Church just like he did before. Once he entered the priest's break room, he set up a sacrificial ritual. The illusory and mysterious door opened as the red glove tore through the dark and deep void, as it was sent directly above the gray fog. At the moment the gray fog made contact with the glove, a tiny, distorted, terrifying face suddenly appeared. It kept evaporating as it struggled to sustain itself. Upon seeing this scene, Klein wasn't surprised. After all, the grandpa residing in Leonard's body was an angel of the Marauder pathway. If Ammon could do it, it was quite certain that he was capable of doing the same. For this, he had made sufficient preparations. He believed that even if the grandpa had really reached Ammon's level, he was able to wipe out the corresponding aura without making him sense the existence of the gray fog, making him take action on Emlyn. Picking up the Sea God scepter, which had long been placed in front of him, Klein made the blue gems light up at the same time from a commanding position. Suddenly, silver light bloomed above the gray fog as the lightning carried portions of the gray fog's powers like a storm, zapping the tiny illusory face. The face dissipated completely before it could even cry out, leaving behind a dead, translucent worm with 12 transparent rings. "Worm of time, but it seems weaker than Ammon." Klein muttered as he beckoned with his hand for the red glove and familiar worm to fly to him. After some serious scrutiny, he confirmed that the worm was basically identical to the one Ammon's avatar had left behind. "My dear poet's grandpa is of the same sequence as Ammon? Sequence 1? No, not necessarily. Perhaps this is a unique trait of one of the earlier sequences. If it's really a sequence 1, the notion that Ammon is the son of the Creator and a king of angels makes it possible that he has fused with the uniqueness or has another sequence 1 characteristic." Klein made a guess, but he was unable to verify it. As for what the dead worm of time could be used for, or when its spirituality would completely dissipate, he could only throw it into the junk pile due to his lack of the corresponding knowledge. 7 Pinster Street, Backland. Leonard Mitchell sat on the sofa with his eyes tightly closed. His legs were propped up on the coffee table as though he was using a short nap to make up for an entire night of being awake. After an unknown period of time, he suddenly opened his eyes and said with a suppressed voice, "What happened? Have you determined the true buyer of Tinder?" An elderly voice rang out in his mind. The aura I left behind has been eliminated, completely eliminated. Did you discover anything? Leonard retracted his feet as he asked in a deep voice. The ancient voice sighed. Nothing. Everything was over before I could react. If I were in my best state, I might have been able to grasp the relevant clues. Unfortunately, I've remained in a weak state for years. Leonard remained silent for more than 10 seconds before he shook his head. Then we'll temporarily treat it as if this never happened. Above the gray fog, Klein listened to Emlin's report and took note of the information regarding the mystical item. He fiddled with the glove named Tinder as he examined it. Heh heh, this way, I'll have a glove for my right hand, he chuckled as he muttered to himself. After serious consideration, Klein abandoned the thought of immediately extracting the mental corruption of the true creator from the all-black eye. This was to ensure his success, hoping to leave the chance to the moment when he was concocting the Mariontist potion. According to the records of the City of Silver, even without the gray fog screening, there were no problems with such a procedure. Furthermore, with the gray fog, there wouldn't be any additional accidents, even if it were the mental corruption left behind by the true creator. I can also use Tinder normally. Yes, when I need to use it, I have to put my cash, pocket watch, and other mystical items above the gray fog. I mustn't let any item become lost. In fact, even if I don't do so, the problem isn't too great. I'm a seer. Do I need to be afraid of not being able to find things I dropped? Heh heh. In a normal battle, I'll have creeping hunger on my left hand and Tinder on my right. Just the thought of it sounds formidable. Klein reined in his thoughts and discovered that everything related to the sequence 5 Mariontist potion was ready, apart from the 2 commonly seen supplementary ingredients. He nodded indiscernibly and muttered silently to himself. I just need to wait for the faceless potion to be completely digested. Then I'll board the ship of Admiral of Stars or the Hanged Man and head east of the Sanya Sea to find mermaids.